This is Transqat, a safe space to stand. Transgender issues, queer people, respectful conversations. I'm host Clare McCarthy. Welcome to Transqat. Welcome to the final episode of Season 4. Today we're talking about LGBTQ folks in the labor movement, specifically in the construction trades. I met Ahna and Luca at Worcester Pride in 2025, or, if you live there, at Worcester Pride. They were tabling down the street from the Transqat tent, and we got to talking. They're members of the United Brotherhood of Carpenters. Queer people are inextricably linked to the labor movement here in the United States. 3 quick examples. FDR's Secretary of Labor, Frances Perkins, was the first woman to be named a cabinet secretary. She served from 33 to 45, and she pretty much created the New Deal. All the basic protections for labor, she did that. Social Security, abolishing child labor, minimum wage, maximum hours, unemployment insurance, survivor benefits, all of that was her. Bayard Rustin was the first executive director of the AFL-CIO. A brilliant tactician, he helped organize the bus boycott in Montgomery in 1955. He organized the 1963 March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. You know, the I Have a Dream event. In the 70s, the Teamsters boycotted Coors Beer because of their blatantly anti-union and anti-LGBTQ policies. Applications flat out asked, are you pro-union? Are you homosexual? And if you checked yes, well, you didn't get the job. Harvey Milk rallied the queer community in San Francisco to support the Teamsters, and he urged the bars to dump their Coors and not reorder it. Young queers, know your history. We were there. We stood for the rights of the workers, against those who would exploit us, and we're still standing.
My name's Luca. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm a 4th-year apprentice with the United Brotherhood of Carpenters.
My name's Ahna. I use she, her, handsome. I am a 5-year journey level carpenter with UBC at a local university.
She, her, or handsome?
She, her, handsome.
Wow. That's the best pronoun ever.
I think it really communicates absolutely exactly what I'm about.
I've invited you here because I would love to learn more about being queer in the trades, particularly as it deals with unions and organized labor. But I was a teacher for 33 years, and technically teachers are not allowed to join unions. There's an association in every district, but you're not technically, you can't be in a union. Teachers can't get Social Security. The idea of organized labor is something that I've always been around, but I don't really know firsthand. So what do I need to know?
Just to put the brakes on real fast, I did not know that about teachers. I'm astonished by that.
Yeah, no, you can't, they won't call it a union. I mean, it does all the same sort of collective bargaining things that you would expect, but it's, I guess what's missing is that you can't unionize amongst districts, right? So it's an education association for the district you work in, and that's it. But so you are both carpenters, is that?
Yes.
We are both carpenters. We are both out of the same local, which is Central and Western Massachusetts, Local 336. And I think we got into the union, I think within like maybe 14 months of each other, probably less, I think, at this point.
Yep. Anna's essentially like roughly a year ahead of me.
Yeah. We both got in through a pre-apprenticeship called Build It, which is... There's the apprenticeship, the pre-apprenticeship, and then like being, a journey worker in the union. Pre-apprenticeship actually ended up funneling us directly in, which for me and my sake, was very, very beneficial. So I'm very thankful for that.
And how do you work your way up there? Is there like a certification to go from pre-apprentice to apprentice to journey person, or
Yeah. So, the pre-apprenticeships are like co-sponsored. There's like a ton of them throughout Massachusetts and I'm sure other places, but we only know really about what's happening locally. The pre-apprenticeships are like, um, they're co-organized with the union. Ours specifically was a collaboration between the Massachusetts Department of Labor, the United Brotherhood of Carpenters, and the Minuteman High School in Lexington's continuing adult education program, which is a technical school out in Lexington, Mass. And the pre-apprenticeships, ours was specifically focused on like the idea of people who didn't traditionally have access to the trades and were like trades curious. And it was a great way to get some hands-on skills just so like you wouldn't kill yourself the moment you stepped onto a job site. It streamlined the process of being accepted into the apprenticeship program, and just gave us like it's kind of like both of like the both the union and the apprentices testing the waters before committing.
yeah.
Um, and then we have a 4-year apprenticeship that is like the way you work your way up is like in our contract, set in stone. It's recognized by the Massachusetts Department of Labor. It's every year you go to school 4 times every 3 months. You have to complete and pass those classes. We have internal certifications for like they call them our exit certifications, but we are not a licensed trade.
One of the very few that is not. Yeah.
And yeah, like electricians and plumbers and a bunch of other trades need to be licensed by the state. And we do not. So we do a 4-year apprenticeship where the licensed trades usually do a 5, and then we become journey level carpenters after completing our 4th year.
Now, within that, I mean, that sounds like a pretty organized structure. So within that, what are the barriers to queer people going into it? And then once they're in that system, how does it not serve them?
Well, the barriers, I would say, like everyone listening can assume, the barriers are both cultural and systemic. The trades are not used to people like us wanting access or even like gaining access, obviously. I actually got, so like Luca said, getting in through Build It really like leveled the playing field for me initially. I was the first cohort for that, and it was actually an all woman cohort. I think like 9 out of 11 of us are still are working, thriving carpenters.
So, I mean, let's start with just the simple before we bring in sort of the newer ideas about gender identity and expression. Let's just talk about women in the trades. I've got to imagine that there's a pretty heavy prejudice against that.
I'm going to say that, so my experience that I'm about to share is definitely not the common one, the one that you're going to hear as much. And I just want to preface it by saying that like I've had a good, easy, positive time, but just because I have does not mean that the vast majority of other women have not. And that's listen to them before me, I would say.
Yeah.
I feel like there are I exist in a lot of Venn diagrams that have made my traveling through this industry and this culture a lot easier than it like I kind of have any right it has any right to be.
I mean, you have a right for it to be easy. Like you do have a right for it to be easy, and it should be. And it's frustrating that that is a wildly uncommon experience.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, that intersectionality of different aspects of our identity. Some of them are systemically discriminated against, and some of them are not, depending on where in those Venn diagrams we are.
Yeah, and I mean, me and Anna are both white, which I think definitely is an aspect
Play
that
play a role anywhere in America.
Right.
hey, it turns out it's been a little bit easier being white in America. I don't
What?
know. I don't what?
I am shocked, Luca. Shocked.
Yeah.
As a white woman in Connecticut, I am shocked.
Yeah, being two white folks in Massachusetts turns out to be pretty fucking a solid leg up.
In terms of queer people specifically, what sort of impediments is the wrong word, but what sort of roadblocks do you run into?
Much like Anna, I have had a what I would say is a positive neutral, like a neutrally positive experience in the union, and in my work, in my jobs. And instead of roadblocks, what I would say is my experience has shown me is that the union, while at least on the like local our local council and the training center, the local council and the training center are the spearhead of the union's progress, and the membership is not as reflective of that. And even with that, I would say like the union accepts everyone, and like at least our local, like I said, I could not speak to the experience of different states, different regions, different locals, what time they're having. But our they accept everyone, but they are not, maybe I don't find them actively showing that they're thinking of how people might have different experience, and I don't find them to be proactively trying to be like, oh, this could be weird. This could be a barrier. Like one thing is like there's never been in any of like the paperwork or anything we submit. I don't have my name legally changed yet. There is no there is no area to submit that you have a name that is not on your ID that you use. So like every time I go to school, I have to, like when they're doing roll call, I have to either find out who my instructor is and tell them beforehand, or I have to like correct my name during class.
If
And like,
if the latter of those two happens to you, do you find a lot of, or a certain degree of disrespect from the other people in the class? Or
no, I sometimes like I've had an instructor maybe like try to like prod at the question, and I just like deadpan them. Yeah, I've found this with like other foremen and stuff where they'll try to like poke around what's going on, and my solution is I don't answer questions that aren't direct, because we're adults, and if someone's not going to ask me an adult question, I'm not going to help them figure out what question they should be asking.
And there's no such thing as like a gender neutral bathroom on a job site, for instance. Like sisters in the trades have had a hard enough time like getting porta johns, like women's porta johns, onto job sites, and now it's like kind of in our contract, and it's an important part of it. So there's like this very very strict uh, sex divide in this like very public aspect of our work as well. Because like the porta johns are visible wherever you are on a job site, essentially, usually. So people see which one you go into. People see which one you choose. There are no gender neutral porta johns. There are no gender neutral bathrooms like in any of our training centers.
Well, one of the things that I noticed just from when you two were introducing yourself, Anna, used a gender neutral term, journey person. But Luca, you referenced the fact that the industry is still kind of mired in very gendered language. You talked about the brotherhood of this and the
We
fraternity of
we
that.
are we are quite literally called the United Brotherhood of Carpenters as our like full header official name.
And the International Council actually just took away, like literally dissolved, like officially removed our sisters network, which was a an international network of women in like carpenters, women in the trades, that we've had since like 1984 or something. And when Trump's DEI executive order came down, we are, I think, the only unionized trade to, yeah, recant on our our vow to gender equality.
What
Yeah,
other
I'm trying to find in our educate, agitate, organize creed which one that falls under, and I'm just kind of drawing a blank.
so
And
that's is that an official creed of yeah,
Yeah, educate, agitate, organize. I
excellent.
will say it was agitating, but I don't think we're supposed to be agitating internally.
Right, I think it's supposed to be outwardly directed. Yeah. So, Luca, one of the things that you and I had talked about when we were speaking a month or so back is this notion of at-will employment and how
Mm.
that might or might not be affecting the jobs you get, the jobs you don't get. Can you, well, I guess first of all, if you could both explain what that means, and then in the context of how it might hurt queer folks.
Most states have at-will employment on the books for them. I don't really know if it's like a law. I guess it's a law. I don't super understand it, but it's basically the concept of at-will employment is you are employed at will. If the employer decides to sever ties with you, or you like decide to sever ties with your employer, you don't owe them something, anything. In theory, it's when it's promoted for the sake of workers, it's like they can't contractually like they can't obligate you to stay employed or like penalize you for like quitting. It's essentially like you're allowed to quit your job.
So
Um,
there's an aspect of this that protects the the workers,
you
right?
know, it's argued to me that it does in a way that feels a little bit like a straw man argument, but the benefits that I see mostly from it protect employers because it then the burden's always in the idea of like either like class action or just individual lawsuits about employment discrimination. Like it's on the person who believes that they were discriminated against to prove it. If you can like if your employee or employer can let you go and doesn't have to give a reason, it's there is no paper trail, there's no evidence. Like it's
Right,
incredibly hard to it's incredibly hard to prove.
right.
Because it's like the idea of like you don't necessarily need written warnings or anything. It's like they can just be like, it's not working out. And if you don't want to have someone working for you for personal preferential reasons that would be considered illegal, you don't have to say that. You can just be like, it wasn't working out, and you can let them go. And then
Mhm.
there's like kind of fuck all you can do to be like, it's like, huh, well, I was producing more than the like another person, like other people on my crew, or like my attendance was fine and stuff, and you're like, oh, I don't really see a reason why I would have been let go, except that I'm different from the
Right.
rest of them in a certain way.
But it's not incumbent on them to show that you were producing less or that you
Because you're
were
employed at will.
violating rules. Yeah, this sounds very much like the Schedule F maneuver that Trump brought in when he first took office. I don't know if he did this the first time, but I know it was in 2024 he did, where he reclassified a lot of government workers as Schedule F so that they could be fired at will.
Right.
So if you weren't on board with the agenda, could let you go. Anna, tell me.
Typically, in that case, it means that I was able to do that by avoiding their like specific individual contracts, like on a blanket scale, and the at will employment, which is not just within the union, is across, I believe, like 49 or 50, like almost every single state. Um, is just that they, unless you have an individual legal binding contract stating the terms of your employment and how and when you can be terminated, there's legally an employer needs no reason to fire you or to just let you go.
And it's argued that like, and they argue it of like, oh, it goes both ways, and it's like, huh, it seems like only one group here really has a lot of power. And it feels like a neutral law that goes both ways is hefted a lot more heavily by a company than it could ever be by an individual employee.
4 arrows, 4 chances to do something miraculous. But choose carefully. The price is steep and the road gets dark. 4 Arrows, a new novel from Clare McCarthy, Chapter 1 in the Heart of the Fire series. Magical realism meets queer history. Available as an ebook or paperback at these locations. Sure. Yeah. And I mean, if you're in that sort of a could go either way tool, let's say, rather than weapon, obviously the side that has more resources is going to wield it more successfully. So the employers have the money, have the lawyers, they can pull that off. Unions exist to protect the workers, and you get contracts, saying, here are your rights. Is there space between de facto and de jure, where yes, this is on paper, but when you're actually on the job site, this is what happens? Have you experienced this like that? Really?
100%. Massachusetts state law requires accrued sick hours and paid sick time. I believe every 30 hours you work, you get 1 hour accrued for up to 40 hours annually. So you accrue 5 sick days a year. I work for a company that I still, despite this, want to keep working for. Someone let me know pretty early of, hey, if you try to put in for paid sick time, you'll be in the next round of layoffs. And I was really new to the union, so I went to my hall and I was like, this is crazy. And then they're like, that's state law, not contract. We don't really have an ability to enforce it. We could get you the sick pay if you like really wanted to fight for that one day you took off. But we can't, like, if they decide to cut you in their round of cuts, we can't really do anything about that.
No recourse. Anna, how have you seen stuff like this play out?
I do not have great attendance all the time. I take all of my sick days. I like legally always put them on. And I worked for the same company that Luca works for almost 2 years, and I abided by the Massachusetts state law practice of filing for my sick days. And they did take me to multiple different sites, I will say. And then I was pretty unceremoniously um, not called back for something or for anything um, by a specific foreman who I think might be the only like actual instance of bald discrimination I have faced in the trade so far. This person genuinely hated me. He could not look me in the eye, or shake my hand.
Did you, and obviously we shouldn't try to jump into this guy's head, but did you get the sense that that was because you're queer identifying? Because he just
Okay, so
Yes.
couldn't be
Luca's answering for you.
exactly what I'm talking about.
No, no.
It couldn't be because I'm a woman, because he was like, charming, warm, very friendly with multiple different women on site, often like in front of me or directly after speaking with me, or like barking orders to like my knee or like the wall directly behind me. Um, and I'm like the opposite of closeted at work. I try to mention my wife within like generally the first like 5 or 10 minutes of getting on a new site or meeting with a new crew, meeting a new foreman. So I know who's going to be an issue and whether it's like good or safe for me to stay on that site, stay in that area. So I think that was how I caught him. Yeah.
Me and Anna were on the same job. We worked under a foreman that we had a very good experience with. And then that foreman left the company to join the general contractors company. Not in like a weird rug pull. This had been in the works. And it was the next step in his career path. But it is really funny because he was still on site just working for like the company in charge of our company then. But so once I finished on that job, I got sent to a job in Boston, and I was like not super happy about that. I had a really crappy car, and it was a lot of travel, and it made me very nervous. And we had another job back like two towns over from the last one, and someone in the company was like, "Oh, I think they're just holding you in this Boston job until this job back in Worcester County opens up." And the person running that job was the same foreman that Anna had those experiences with. Even with how he presents to anyone who's not a white man, I don't even like how he runs work with white men. So, like, that's kind of dodged a bullet, but you know, there's always a concern of like, what if a road super, like I'm 4 years in with this company, I feel fairly positive about being with them, and there's always that like little concern of like, what if I get on a job site and I have this foreman who like gets a stick up his ass because I'm a dude with a pussy
Yeah.
and like as far as they're concerned and just like wrecks my reputation I've built with this company.
How do you approach the situation that Anna was talking about where where in order to suss out the environment on a job, you kind of make clear who you are and then see what the reactions are. Do you do that? Do you tend to just fly under the
Um,
radar?
I tell no one anything they haven't asked. Because I'm here to work and I don't want to hear anyone's weird conspiracy theories or like, and they're like, I've always wanted to ask. I'm like, I'm not paid enough
Yeah.
to have this conversation. I'm here to work. And if I get like really like work with someone for a long time, after a while I'll disclose or something if it seems like it comes up. Um, I have a really funny thing where I'm like, I'm pretty sure I pass as like a cis dude, but apparently not because it's a pretty even 50-50 split of people who still think I'm a woman on site.
Wow.
I don't know if there's like it's usually foreman that it's a 50-50 with. So I don't know if there's like an internal conversation that happens before I get brought onto a job site to like bring someone up to speed. And then these people don't hang out around any trans people. So they're just like, oh, so Luca's a woman, and then just get it in their heads, and they'll just use she for me like half the time, and they're very confused. And then I just give them like the most neutral expression in the world while
Mm.
they use she at me, and I'm like, sure, man, whatever. Anyway, what am I
Is
doing?
is that now? I've got to say before I ask this that I genuinely feel that fighting on the hill of pronouns was a strategic error. That there were infinitely more important things we should have been preparing folks for. But that said, does anybody on these work sites ask for preferred pronouns? Do they ever respond well if you initiate that conversation, or is that just kind of a lost cause?
I've never given my actual pronouns on a job site. If someone asks, I just say he is fine. Um, I've had maybe under five people on five jobs across 4 years ever ask.
Yeah.
Um, and it's always like a he, she, and I was like, he's fine.
Yeah.
I've had a good number of people ask me actually. It's
Yeah,
like,
people asked Anna what my pronouns were, which is really funny.
what my pronouns are. Like
Oh,
as a I'm a butch dyke, so like I read gendery to a lot of people anyways. Um,
Yeah.
and it's so in our generation, like millennials and Gen Z, um, there's like a pretty like wide swath, I would say, of like some people coming in who are at the very, very least neutral and non-hostile to
Mm.
like, our whole deal. And if we ping for them or they get that vibe and they're interested in like being able to like chat on the job site, they might be like, hey, so what are you? And that's the most respectful, positive way of of essentially getting the may I have your pronouns, please?
Yeah. This is not a library conversation we're having here.
No, no.
Yeah.
Um,
But that's, I mean, that's an important thing to be able to interpret is that there are ways that people are going to ask us questions that in one setting might seem really crude and kind of offensive, but in another you can look at it and say, no, this person's really trying. They're really reaching beyond their comfort zone to say, hey, tell me about this.
I think that's one of the most important and positive takeaways that if I could communicate, 2 or 3 points to people about the trades, to other queer people, that is one of the things that I would say that you're gonna meet amazing allies, and their
deeply unexpected allies.
and their support of you is going to be wrapped up in the most hilariously ass backwards bigoted language.
Yeah.
And going to be some of your absolute best supporters, and they very well might be some of the most like politically horrifying people you've ever met. I have gotten taken under the wing almost exclusively by Jan Sixers on job sites.
Really?
And like I said, I am very upfront about who and what I am, and my politics as well. Like this is not a like don't talk about it on the job site for me. This is a if they ask, I'm going to talk. Yeah, the men that have like insisted on teaching me everything, giving me every opportunity, making sure I know tips, tricks, tactics, the right tools to use, everything and all of it have been some of the most politically horrifying people I've ever met.
Wow. I guess this is to each of you, would you recommend to queer kids coming out of high school that the trades might be a place for you?
Yes, absolutely. With many caveats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a decision tree. Um,
But anyone listening, this is one of the most beneficial ways of this.
and I've also brought this up to people who are not queer, and they're like, this is a decision tree for anyone who wants to join the trades potentially. And it's pretty simple. It's like, does your identity rely on external validation? And if it's yes, it's like, is it okay if you are just getting that in your social or family circles, like outside of work?
Hmm.
Like if the entirety of your day doesn't involve that, is that okay? But if in order to feel like safe and comfortable, you need external validation for your personhood, um, I don't think the trades are a great option. And I think that more likely than not, queer people are going to have a harder time with that. But I think like the impersonality of the trades have the potential to be isolating and devastating to anyone. You are probably less likely to be understood and validated as a queer person on a job site than like a white dude out of high school would be, but also like it's rough. I can't I joined at 28. I'm so glad I didn't join at 18 because it would have broken my little heart and it would have been like really confusing and I wouldn't have the social skills for it because a big part of the trades is so much of it is unspoken
Hmm.
where like anytime I've realized I'm being corrected by a foreman, it's coming in the form of a joke and they want me to take the hint and they like me enough to softball it to me because if they don't like you and they see a problem, they lay you off.
Mm. Because there's no obligation for them to educate you, right? So it's, if so that is definitely a sign of support to some degree where they're like, okay, I'm going to couch this in terms of making fun of you a little bit and then read between the lines and pick it up. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
For me, the big one is I'm a little bit chatty. And by that, I mean I'm a lot a bit chatty. And so, like, someone made a joke of, like, you're working slow, you're always talking to people. And it was a foreman. And I was like, got it. Like I got a headphones in, head down, unless I'm on break, because like that's that's feedback.
Yeah.
This interesting way that our experience differs that I didn't realize. Um, the feedback that I've received has always been point blank, incredibly direct, and generally pretty numerous. I'm trying to think of like any instance where I've got it like in a jovial, joking kind of way. I don't think I have. Like when I'm fucking something up, I get publicly corrected. It's been true on like any job site and with any company actually.
I think also a difference with that might be the fact that I am not partnered with Journeyman anymore.
Hmm.
I essentially tumbled my way into kind of like running a subdivision on job sites as like a single person or as a person with maybe one or two apprentices under me as an apprentice, which is um, there's something to be said about I'm an apprentice, but I am not being apprenticed, so maybe I shouldn't be being paid as an apprentice. But I know the response to that is two checks on a Tuesday, so I'm like, okay.
Layoff.
Two check means being laid off because when someone fires you, they need to give you your pay immediately for the day you worked. So you get your pay from last week and you get your pay from the hours you worked that week as you are being fired.
Oh,
and so
wow.
it's getting two checked.
Oh, I
No,
immediately
it
assumed
sounds nice.
two checks, one check. I know which one I prefer, but
No, no. The only time a second check really sucks.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
if you've already bought copies of Four Arrows, thank you, sincerely. But I'm going to ask a little bit more of you. We all live inside a leviathan known as the algorithm. You can help make this behemoth work to our advantage by posting reviews. Go to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, BookBub, Google Play, Goodreads, or Kobo and post a short review. Post about it on social media and encourage others to do likewise. Use the hashtag 4Arrows and any others that seem appropriate. You could talk to your local librarian or independent bookseller and request that they buy a copy or maybe 3 or 10. Tell them it's distributed by Ingram. If you follow people who do book talks, you could recommend 4 Arrows to them. If you enjoy the book, I'd really appreciate your help promoting it. Thanks.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
So I'm sure this is an obvious question, but I'm going to ask it anyway as the trans woman in the room. I assume that mask presenting folks fare better in the trades than would a trans femme person. Are there, in fact, any trans women in the trades as far as you know?
Claire, I
I've-
am happy that you asked this question. This topic is one of generally the first things I bring up in your conversations about this. It's been the longest, and generally no, like they above and beyond, like for I would say more like 9 out of 10 or like 99 out of 100 at this point almost. You're gonna see dykes on site and no fats. You're not going to see effeminate men moving safely in the trades. This is one of the Venn diagrams of my identity that I was kind of talking about before. That
Luca, wait a minute. Hold that up again, Luca. You need to say something for the camera to go on you.
are
This is our Dykes on Sites sticker that Anna specifically requested for when we table at Pride. And then we also have the
yeah.
tradies for trans
Wonderful.
rights.
Tradies for trans rights.
You know. But
Anna,
sorry,
you were sorry.
cut you off from.
I would say that like the vast majority of men on these job sites respond positively to masculinity, no matter its package. So therefore I am inordinately more like palatable to them than a gay man. Any kind of fruity gay man would be, or any kind of like clocky or non-passing trans woman would be. I was having like a conversation like my second year, like late in my first year of my apprenticeship with a very, very effeminate, straight male friend of mine who I had gotten onto this job site. He was saying, yeah, it's really a boys club. This is not great for me. Like, this is not great in general. I was like, oh shit. I actually had no idea. I am so sorry. I kind of got you onto this job site because I thought it was safer and better. And that's happened to me a few times, actually, I would say.
So misogyny in all of its forms, right? And this is certainly not something that's exclusive to the trades. I mean, you see this in all aspects of life, but that there is a hierarchy of, as you said, palatability.
Mm.
And yeah, because we live in a culture where it's a patriarchy, it's masculine biased, that yeah, anything that is closer to masculine, we can probably tolerate that.
It's why the more like the feminine women that I know in the trades have had so many more horrifying experiences that even the more like moderately more femme like butch dykes I know, who are I would say like one of like the best features about me working the trades is that to men I am unattractive. This is one of the like the most positive things about about like this aspect of working in the trades. And to any other like kind of women who pings at all for men on a job site, you're going to have a bad time. Sorry.
I think also like a really concentrated example of like the hostility towards women and femininity in the trades is a couple months ago, a woman named Amber Check was murdered on her job site by a coworker. There's decent documentation that he just fucking hated having to work with a young woman. Like he intentionally brutally murdered her and went to work planning to do that.
Or,
And that was a welder in Minnesota.
well, to wrap this up, we've talked a lot about some of the struggles, some of the challenges, but both of you have made a decision to pursue this. So for each of you, what brought you to this sort of work, and what keeps you there?
So I joined because during COVID I was working at a coffee shop and I had a conversation with my boss where we were like working a drink rush. And I was working a job where I was making like under 30K a year with no benefits. And the owner of the like it was a small shop, the owner worked the bar with us most days. And so I was working with him and we had gotten something repaired and I asked him about like it and he's like, this is how much they charge for labor. And I was like, oh, we got it in the wrong industry. And he just looked at me, he's like, I would have become an electrician if I was your age. And I was like, got it. This is the end of the like he knows like we're I'm plateaued here.
Yeah.
And also just in this industry, I'm at a plateau. I would like health insurance. Like I would like benefits. It would be great. And then I started looking for jobs that I thought Sid from Toy Story could get. And so I made a list and then I had a pros and cons list. One of the things I was looking at was like crime scene cleanups essentially. Because I was like, you can be an absolute freak and that still needs to happen and they don't care. And I was just like, oh, I can be the most like fucking neck tattooed faggot I want to be, and no one's gonna tell me I can't. Like, but then I like looked into it and I was like, oh, the hours are really bad on that because you have to be on call. And I was like trying to figure out the work-life balance. And Anna was posting about how she had finished this pre-apprenticeship program and her time in the Carpenters Union. And I was just like, I don't know if I could do that. And then I took the pre-apprenticeship program, not fully committed to joining the union, but to just be like, well, like this is the entry suss out test, and I'm gonna see how it goes. And I performed pretty well in it. And then I joined the trades, and I realized like I'm not awesome at like fucking everything, but they gave me this like dog shit job, which is like this stupid top of wall insulation and sealant thing, and it's awful, and it's where they just put apprentices because it has to be done. And I was just like, well, I'm here and it's my job and I'm gonna do it well because it's my job, and I can't imagine they wouldn't expect me to do it well. And I ended up running a crew of like three other apprentices, doing my own punch list for it, and just fully taking over that aspect of the job. And now it's primarily what I do. I stay in the trades because I'm fucking good at it. Like, and think about it, 18-year-old boys out of high school, like, who are addicted to a fucking vape, enter these trades and have a fucking career. Anyone can fucking do it. I any able-bodied person can fucking do it. The dumbest boys I've ever met do this. Like, and it just takes time. And like, are people who aren't boys given the like people who aren't boys aren't given the same grace period for getting their shit together, and that's one of the barriers is you have to prove competence much more quickly and significantly than a lot of other people. But also, like, I don't know, I think that an ability to navigate adversity is the heritage of being queer. So we've got a fucking leg up on these fuckers.
Anna, last word goes to you. What brought you to this? What keeps you here?
Outside of the trades, I have felt like a trundling freak for a lot of my life. Um, and within the trades, I have been able to be a capable, competent, um, and and happy leader. I have found and been connected with dykes and queers across the United States and across Canada. I have found a dyke or a queer on every fucking job site I've ever been on. I've hunted them down. I have found them. I have gotten queers onto job sites. I've gotten them into the union. I've gotten them into other unions. We are good at this. We deserve this. My hourly package is just under $100 an hour. My wife doesn't worry about her health care. Like, we are good at this. And even if we're not, we're just as good as them.
Okay, so Anna, we talked a couple weeks ago, month ago,
Yes, we did.
and terrible host that I am, there are things I forgot to ask you about. So I'm hoping you can help me out tonight.
I just wanted to quickly talk about the Pride booths that we do. They've really started to mean quite a lot to me. So Local 336 pays for us to attend these events. They pay for the vending, they pay for us to march. And if you know even like a little bit about the cultural history of trade unions in the US, you can understand how like significant it is that they do that. They've never limited how visibly gay and vocally trans positive we are. The president of our local even last year came out and held a Tradies for Trans Rights sign. They haven't hidden us at all. And so for us to be endorsed to attend, for the spot to be paid for, I have to stand up at one of our local meetings in our hall with all of the old timers and put it forth as a motion. And then someone else has to second that motion. And then every single person in that hall votes on where they want to send the money, either yay or nay, like openly during the meeting. And not one single person, one single time has voted nay, which has touched me very deeply.
That is remarkable.
It really is.
Because we were talking last time about, queer people finding a space in this trade, and that says a lot. That even in this time of anti-DEI, that the local is willing to say, no, you go ahead and have that presence.
Yeah, I think I really lucked out at the local that I ended up at. And so the purposes of our booths are outreach and education and recruitment. And I'm like so proud to say that a few people actually have entered the union from just coming up to us at these booths at festivals. I have gone to info sessions in person with like prospective apprenticeships with like just a buddy system that I've kind of made up. I think that like the most important experiences that I've had at Pride aren't with people trying to enter the trades or even other people who are currently working. They have been with the people who got pushed out. I might cry, just letting you know.
Yeah.
Every year there have been older women who have come up to our booth almost like incredulous that we're there. Because back in the day, they tried to get into the trades. Maybe they tried to join a union. Maybe they tried to join our union. And they got told no, or they got harassed off job sites. And they're just shocked when they see us. And I get to tell them, the union knows we're here. The union paid for us to be here. And it's gotten like a little emotional once or twice. It really feels like I get to tell them that there has been progress, that like you didn't go through hell for nothing. Like however far removed you think you are from this now, we're actually like, we're still standing on your shoulders. Yeah.
I've got to imagine for those of you who are fighting the good fight right now, it can get lonely. It can seem, but to know that no, this is a multi-generational thing, and the work you're doing resonates both forward and backward.
Yeah. Like the first women to wear tools in our union aren't dead and gone. They're not buried. They're not mythical. They're like, I could call them up for a beer if I was in their city. Like they're not even retired yet. The older I get and the more I think about it, like I think this is kind of like my biggest thing, my driving force, like doing these pride events, like making the gay and trans platforms in the trades bigger and wider. It feels like I'm getting my shoulders strong enough for whoever needs to stand on them down the line.
You and I spoke at Worcester Pride this past June. What do you hit other prides during the season? How far afield do you go?
We cover everything within like Local 336's territory. And luckily, that's central all the way to Western Mass. And that's got Northampton, that's got Holyoke. We are swimming in it. I drive.
You're saying that there's a queer presence in Northampton? Is that what you're saying?
You have to really go looking for it. It's small, but it's there. It's, gaining momentum. We have wonderful success at Hampshire Pride. I drive a small purple Ranger, like a truck. And last year we got to like march in the parade with 2 10-foot pride flags hanging off the back of my truck, and a giant banner of United we bargain, divided we beg, which is one of my favorite union sayings.
So that's a wrap on season 4. A lot of great stuff this year. We celebrated our 100th episode with author and activist Julia Serrano. We traveled to P-Town, literally, and Saskatchewan, virtually. We spoke with Krista Steiner, who, by the way, won the Miss Connecticut pageant in June and will be going on to compete for Miss America 2027. Go Krista. We celebrated Pride Month with the Darling Divas, and we commemorated Trans Day of Remembrance with the Transdo Task Force. And I fangirled all over author TJ Klune. Thanks to all of our guests, and thanks to you for coming along on this journey. I'm going to take August and maybe a little of September to catch my breath, maybe sit and read for a little bit. We'll be back in the fall with Season 5. For your summer reading, pick up a copy of 4 Arrows, and once you've read it, consider posting a review online. This has been Transqat. I'm Clare McCarthy. Thank you for listening. Let's talk soon.
This is Sadie McCarthy. I'm Claire's niece.
And you've just been listening to Transqat. It is made by one of my favorite people in the world, Clare McCarthy.
Transqat is a production of Transqat Enterprises, LLC.
Copyright 2023, all rights reserved.
Join us on the web at transqat.com.
That's TRANSQAT.com.
QAT.com.
QAT.com. There you'll find links to Transqat, the blog,
writing projects,
speaking engagements,
and our PayPal donations page.
Please consider supporting our mission with your monkeys.
Monies.
Your monies.
Your monies.
Not monkeys.
Please consider supporting our mission with your monies. Any monkeys will be gratefully received as well.
Follow Transqat on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube.
On TikTok, we are at The Real Transqat.
Want to tell your story on air?
Or ask Claire a question?
What is the deal?
She has all the answers.
Or suggest a guest or topic for an upcoming episode.
Use the contact page at the website
or email her directly at crmtranscat@gmail.com.
crmtranscat@gmail.com.
And thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. Bye.